things that Miami has. We want it to have balcony, floor to ceiling windows, and then obviously an ocean view, at least a partial one.
Whether are we going to be doing long-term rentals? Are we going to be doing flips? Like, what is the whole plan with that?
So, definitely, I'm not really interested in doing long-term rentals right now because there's the risk versus reward doesn't make sense that way. Flipping is definitely something we would consider, though. We want to start with, Airbnb vacation rentals because it's really turnkey and we can just get income coming in right away. Flips would be ideal for when we've had some time to establish ourselves in the market and understand the market, so we're better positioned, to find the best deals for flips.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. And when do we plan on purchasing our first property? I know that's a question that a lot of the community has been asking lately.
Yes, yeah. So very shortly after launch, we're really, really excited about that.
Excellent. Thank you, Lori. And another question for you here is um so someone was asking, is NFT timeshare a possibility? So I wanted you to share your view and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so like absolutely in the possibility, it is a possibility in the future. Right now, we want to focus on getting the Airbnbs, we want to get those up and running smoothly, and we kind of just want that as the, minimum viable product, if you will. And then we can start adding features like the NFT timeshare. But it is definitely something that we are looking forward to implementing. So even when we're building the back end of our property management system, we're always mindful of how we're going to implement smoothly that NFT timeshare when the time is ready.
Excellent. Thank you, Lori. And as the head of the real estate board, you're also responsible for overseeing the rest of the real estate board. So, did you want to kind of tell the community about your process for vetting potential members of our real estate board as we expand and grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we grow, we're obviously going to grow into new markets, and for that, we really value people who have, firsthand knowledge about the market and what it's really like there and the conditions. So that's obviously something that we value a lot. And then beyond that, Defirm is a market leader, and Defirm is really, bringing those two the worlds of DeFi and real estate together. So we really want someone who understands that and is willing and passionate about that. So that's a big thing. Um, Basically, we just want people who are for the firm, you know?
For the firm, exactly. Thank you. And so, also another question I have for you here is that people have been asking, since we're doing something so new and so novel, how is this going to work with the SEC? How are we going to stay above regulations and all those sorts of things? So, did you want to tell everybody about kind of the legal aspect and how we're staying away from being a security and these details?
Yeah, so exactly, like you said, it is a very new territory. Like there's not, really a rule book about it. So basically, our strategy is really to keep it simple. We, we've taken some precautionary measures. Like we make sure that any of the profits from the rental properties are being reinvested into real estate rather than, being given to token holders. So that separation, is one of the key distinctions. And
Right.
other
And
than that,
sorry, not to cut you off. I just wanted to quickly clarify on that, just in case some of the community members didn't know. So, in the case that the profits from the real estate was directly redistributed to holders in the form of U.S. dollars, like as official beneficiaries, that is when we classify as a security. And once we do classify as a security, there's a whole laundry list of regulations before we can actually even have investors, such as them having to be accredited investors, meaning that you have a net worth of $1 million or you earn $200,000 annually per year. So there's a lot of regulations and stuff like that with that in place. And our way for getting around that is by rewarding our holders of the property NFTs in Defirm tokens, separate from the real estate revenue. And so the real estate revenue is going to be going back into the protocol. Early on, we're going to be doing things like buybacks, and it's really going to go into protocol development. But down the line, as the real estate operation scales, rewards will be congruent to the amount, to what we're making in real estate. So right now, so long as the profits aren't directly redistributed to investors as direct beneficiaries, we can we won't fall we won't classify as a security. So that's one thing that's really important for us, whether we can operate or not. And we just really wanted to kind of go over that and really make that clear. So NFT holders can still receive rewards in Defirm, but they won't be directly from the houses in the form of US dollars. So long as we don't do that, we're good.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, and then I wanted to switch to going to some questions about the protocol side of it because that kind of wraps up most of the real estate side there. And that's a
100%.
nice. Sorry.
100%. Yes, and so this is actually an opportunity to kind of, highlight how we operate. So, Lori, being the head of the real estate board, she's overseeing everything on the ground, on the real estate side of things. She's not necessarily as well versed in crypto, so she's handling all the real estate. And Archibald, myself, I'm in control of the crypto side of things. And so we kind of have that breakdown. She takes care of the real estate board, vetting properties, and I make sure the protocol is in line and everything on the business side of things on that side. So, Lori, did you want to ask me some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like we just went over that D firm is going to be buying real estate and there's going to be some multiple revenue streams from that. But what are some of the on-chain revenue streams going to be?
Absolutely. So this is actually at the core of our revenue streams, right? So on chain, we're going to have buy and sell taxes. We're going to have quantum liquidity, which is a feature introduced by Sphere, where the active liquidity pool is earning a yield. We're also going to have treasury investments. And so our treasury is always going to be actively invested on the 75 10 15 split. So basically 75% of the treasury is always going to be earning a stable yield, and then the other 15% is going to go into blue chip crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX, and then that last 10% is for DeFi projects, sort of our, like kind of like ourselves and other smaller DeFi projects with a lot of that are higher risk, high reward plays. And so we're going to have that split for our treasury, and our on-chain revenue structures are really at the core of scaling our real estate. So we realize that real estate revenue is, of course, a lot slower and moves a lot slower than crypto. And so that's where we see an opportunity in rotating, these DeFi functions into secure real estate and scaling that operation there. And so we want to start with vacation rentals and short-term stays and eventually scale up into hotels, motels, and really the sky's the limit. And we're really at the forefront of this is a really a novel really a novel industry. We believe that in the future everything is going to be on chain, from real estate to all kinds of assets. So we're really at the forefront of this, and it's very important to be early. And so we see a rare opportunity in launching during market lows. We're not launching yet. We're still waiting for the market to recover and look better, just to increase our chances of success at launch. But that's really the premise of it. So yeah.
Okay, cool. And for anybody who doesn't know, we do have our private sale going on right now, and it's been going on for about 24 hours. And do you want to talk a little bit about how the funds from that are going to be used and how that's going to help grow DFirm?
Absolutely. So, proceeds from our private sale is really to move into the next phase of development. And as everyone knows in crypto, community is everything and team is everything. So, we're really focused on growing our community and building our community and really getting the word out there. So, we're going to be onboarding a brand new CMO. Some of you may know him. His name is Ono. He's worked in very many successful projects, such as Sphere, um, 100 Days Finance. He's done many. He's done marketing for some of the top DeFi projects out there. He took an early liking to Defirm Finance from the moment we opened up our server. So we've always been back and forth, and we're really excited to introduce him to the community and really have him take over the community management role and the marketing role. So that's one thing we're really excited about because, as I mentioned, community is everything. Without community, there is no Defirm, there is no project. So we're really focused on building our community and marketing and growing.
Okay, cool. Love that. Um, and then is there a specific staking period for the tokens that are purchased during the pre-sale?
No, there's no lock period at all. We were flirting with the idea of ADM early on, but we've just completely scrapped that idea. It's a very experimental product, so we didn't want to go that route. Everyone's going to be able to buy and sell from launch.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And then kind of in line with that was another question that I had seen. Um, Somebody had asked about extra taxes post launch. So, for example, is there an extra tax in the first couple of days for selling?
No, that's not something we've explored. I understand some protocols do that to avoid a dump, but we don't plan on implementing any sort of extra taxes or transfer taxes. We're just going to have our 15% buy and sell tax from launch, and that's what it's going to be for the entirety of the protocol.
Perfect. Okay. And then somebody was asking if the pre sale is first come, first serve, or if there's an option for guaranteed allocations.
Absolutely. So for our main pre-sale, whitelisters, insiders are going to have the opportunity to buy first. From then on, it will be a first come, first serve sale for the rest of the public.
Okay. Okay, nice. And then also, they wanted to know if we're waiting for the market to turn green to take advantage of price recoveries. I think you had touched on that a little bit earlier, though, already.
Yep, I've touched on that a little bit earlier. As I'm sure you can all realize and see right now, the markets aren't doing too well. Oh, yes, we definitely want to wait for better market conditions to go ahead and launch. We definitely don't want to rush this. As a real estate syndicate, it's not something you want to rush to market anyway. So it gives us a lot of time to build. So I feel like, once again, this is a unique opportunity because it gives us a lot of time to build and make sure everything is right by the time that we're ready to launch. And the market hopefully will be looking better too.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And just in case there's anyone in the audience right now, who just heard about DFirm or, is just starting to learn, what can you let them know, like why DFirm? What is DFirm doing better than anyone else? Why is DFirm where you really want to be investing your money?
Right. And so, as our slogan goes, our main motto, DeFi meets real estate, we've seen a few other real estate protocols come up and they do things very in line with the TradFi model. We're keeping things really in the spirit of DeFi. None of them really have like a rebasing token, buy and sell taxes, these um these really these core DeFi functions we're really having as our main revenue structures and rotating those into real estate. Whereas I don't want to mention any names, but other protocols, for instance, would require you to be an accredited investor to invest into their real estate assets. For instance, I touched earlier on what on the requirements of being an accredited investor, and many of these protocols are actually starting to classify as securities, and so we're staying above regulations and not classifying as a security, and this really allows basically the decentralization of our real estate investments for the general public, and that's really what we want to introduce. That's like the main premise of different finance. So once we do have our properties, they're all going to be represented on chain through these NFTs, and anyone from anywhere in the world will be able to buy in. So, for instance, right now, let's say you wanted to invest into some real estate all the way in the U.S. and you live in, um, let's say the UK. Usually that's something that would be you can go ahead and do it, but that would be a huge process. It would take a lot of time. It would take a lot of money. It would take a lot of contacts, and it would just be cumbersome. Whereas now you can just go onto your MetaMask, go on OpenSea, and invest into real estate all around the world. And see, that's what we're really trying to introduce with Defirm.
Okay, awesome. And then, so I think that really wraps up all the questions that I had for you. Were there any questions in the chat that we wanted to go over?
Oh yes, once again, as per mentioned in the last announcement, if anybody did want to come ahead and come onto the stage and ask a question, um, you're open to that as well. You can just go ahead and leave a request. I see there's no requests yet, but I believe. Oh, yep, some requests are coming in here. Okay, so no name. We'll start with you. I'll invite you up to the stage. Oh, it looks like he. All right, let me know. Savage, bro. Okay. Oh, no name. Okay, you're both in here. Lovely. Awesome. So, any questions?
I have a few. Is it okay?
Absolutely.
First and foremost is what is the main way of generating of sort of paying uh, investors in this protocol? Because there has I've been reading and it does say that it will be distributing like sort of like tokens after the 1 year period, which is where the revenue comes from, uh, the income generated from the real estate. And I've also heard of buybacks, so I do not know which one is the main way that you're supposed to profit
Yes,
from this.
absolutely. So yes, so early on, let's say we have just one or two properties. Just realistically, that's not enough to sustain, let's say, a whole group of investors. In terms of rewards and dividends, it would be very small. And so early on, it just wouldn't make sense to have the real estate revenue be redistributed to investors directly anyway. On top of that, we would fall in line as a security if we did that. So early on, we'd be focused on just protocol growth, buybacks, and like marketing. It would be really going back into the protocol. Once we scale our real estate portfolio up higher, that gives us a lot more opportunity. And that's really when we're going to introduce more real estate generated rewards back to holders.
Okay, so second question is what will happen if you guys achieve undesirable results in your seed fundraising process? Because right now it's around 12%. So let's say it ends up being around 15% per se. What is your plan after that?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
read that there will be the rest will be burnt, but I'm not very sure.
That is for the main pre-sale. So once again, this isn't our main pre-sale. This is just the seed funding round. It's really to get funds to further our development in terms of marketing team, bringing on new community managers, and just moving forward with our development. We're gonna have our audit coming in from Solidity Finance and another KYC done as well by RugDoc. And so these are just really to fund those smaller launch expenses. The main pre-sale is yet to come. That's the one that's going to have, like as you mentioned, the burns and such. So this was never a make or break pre-sale for us at all. The seed funding round, this is just really it's an opportunity for investors to get in very early, get in from the basement, and also for us to have extra launch funds. But it was never a make or break, and we're still going to keep going hard regardless. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, I think before I let someone else have a turn, I'll just like to ask one last question is how does the team profit from this project? Because there's nothing wrong with the team profiting, but I like it when I know how. Maybe is the team taking a cut of the real estate profits, or do they own a certain amount of tokens, stuff like that?
Yes, absolutely. So there's only going to be 5% of the tokens available from launch in the team's war chest. And really, that's actually going to be used for like giveaways and such. Early on, we really are investing as much as we can back into the protocol. A real estate syndicate is no small task, and a lot of funds are going to be required. And we really, early on, myself, Lori, of course, we're going to have to pay our staff and pay our our marketers and our influencers and such. But as for a cut for us, we don't see ourselves really cashing out very much profits from Defirm until we're really scaled up. There's just going to be so much required in terms of team, in terms of just expenses. So early on, we plan on reinvesting most, if not everything, back into the protocol. But later on, that would not be something that would be hard to do. Like we can just take, let's say it was a small percentage of the buy and sell taxes. They're coming into the treasury in the form of stable coins. and we're going to be paying out staff from the war chest. And so ever so often, I guess we'd be able to take a cut, but that's not something that has been established. It's something that's going to be completely transparent for the whole community. But early on, we're really reinvesting as much as we can into the protocol.
Okay,
I hope that answers your
yeah,
question.
for that. I think I'll let someone else have a turn. I do have more questions, but yeah, I should let other people have a turn.
Absolutely. Savage Bro, did you want to chime in here?
Eh, No name, you can keep continue. You have your questions. Go ahead.
So polite.
Okay, thanks so much, man. So then I think the next few questions are real estate based ones, cause I'm wondering like how much leverage will the team take? Cause let's say that a major recession happens, which probably it will, and it crashes the real estate market. I would like to know how much risk is being involved here, especially since you guys are doing holiday, a tourism industry, which might not go, go so well with the times that are coming up soon.
We will see. However, yeah. Oh, sorry, Lori. I guess that's one for you. You can answer that one. But I just wanted to also mention that our first batch of properties will be paid for in cash. At least our very first property, exactly for risk purposes, and for risk management. We're not planning on taking out a lot of leverage early on. As we scale, that'd be easier to do, and we'll be able to scale faster. But early on, we want to own our assets. But Lori, you can chime in as well.
No, I think that was exactly in line with what I was gonna say is, yeah, the first couple will be bought, paid for fully in cash, and then that way we can use those properties as assets in the real world because it's gonna take a little bit to, you know, for the real world to allow for crypto payments and things like that. So for the first couple ones, we'd like to have those assets in, you know, fully paid for in fully backed in the houses, and then down the road we would look at leveraging. But initially, um, we really want to avoid it initially, at least.
Okay, thank you. I think I have one last major question, which is, uh, okay, I think it should be fine for now.
You sure?
Thanks.
Feel free to ask away.
Because I can't completely remember how to phrase my question, so I'll let someone else have a go before I collect my thoughts.
Sounds good. Savage Bro, did you want to chime in here? Savage Bro, you there? Not sure if you're talking, but I can't hear you. I'm not sure if everybody else can. Some technical difficulties here.
Shall I continue if he has issues?
Yep, go ahead.
I would like to ask, like, where is the initial money for funding properties coming from? Is it from the first whitelist sale, or yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yep. So early on, we plan on raising quite a lot of money for our main pre-sale. Again, the seed funding round was just for like smaller development costs, but we plan on raising more from our seed round. And as per mentioned, we have revenue structures. So buy and sell taxes is actually probably at the core of our revenue structure early on. For instance, like if you look at a lot of other rebasing protocols, that is their primary revenue structure, and some of the more popular ones on a slow day may yield, anywhere between 20 to 100 plus thousand on the day, just through buy and sell taxes, and that going into the treasury. So we really, and a lot of protocols also, the treasury in practice doesn't necessarily reflect on the token unless they do scheduled buybacks and such. So instead, we plan on rotating these profits into real estate. So that's really where the core of the funding from the real estate is going to come from both raising and the revenue ongoing from the protocol, from just trading in and out of the Defirm token. As well as per mentioned, treasury investments as well, quantum liquidity, and we plan on having NFTs for each property. So there's going to be between 500 to 1,000 NFTs per each property, and we're also going to have royalties on each NFT. So that's another revenue structure there. And so we're really trying to use all the best DeFi functions and rotate them into real estate and scale in that way.
Hi guys, can you hear me now? Can you
Savage,
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. I was on Bluetooth or something. For some reason, it didn't want to work. So you can hear me fine.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. So just want to say again, thank you from Savage Bro Crypto. We have a couple community members here today. We had a nice chat the other night. So I only have a couple questions, and No Name kind of pointed on it, and you did as well. You know, obviously, right when you start out, you're not going to have a lot of proceeds coming from these real estate investments until they really start building up. So we're really going to be going on, like you said, a regular standard um, uh, project protocol. Is that the right term? And you are really, in case anybody didn't know, working on a spheres mirroring sphere. Is that the right way to say it?
Well, I would say more working with them. We want to implement quantum liquidity. So that's a proprietary feature that they have, and we want to implement that. So, as per mentioned, that's when the LP earns active yield, whereas before it would just be sitting stagnant, so people can trade in and out of the token. So that is another big one for us, because usually the LP has a handsome amount of funds, of the protocol's funds sitting in there, or even the majority of it sitting in there, and just doing nothing. And so that's really a big one for us.
So right off the bat, after launch and once you're launched, pretty much 100% of the investment money is going to be just going into the protocol, and then you're going to choose your investments like you've already spoken about, whether it's the blue chips or staking and so forth. Who's going to make those decisions on where that money's going?
Absolutely. So that's going to be really a team-based decision, as well as the community as well. We're going to have governance votes regularly, but at the forefront of it, we're going to, same way we have a real estate board who's vetting the best prospective properties, we're also going to have a treasury board that's looking at the best investments, and is just always researching, always in the alpha groups, always on Twitter, and just always in the news of the next meta, the next alpha. But we're going to have a dedicated a dedicated treasury board. As per mentioned, we've been in talks with Sim. He's been giving us not that regularly, but he's given us advisory. He's looked at our contracts, and as per mentioned, we're in negotiations for quantum liquidity. So we want to really onboard the best minds in crypto to be on our real estate board, and just to be on our advisory board altogether. And so that's really who's going to be at the core of choosing the treasury investments.
Personally, I can't be more excited when you told us that the other night. I've been a big Sphere and Simsala fan for since the beginning, so
Absolutely.
we don't have to keep going on with that. But I do want to say personally that's very exciting news to me, and definitely going to make me, be here with Deep.
I'm
Um,
glad to hear it. We're just getting started. I'm glad to hear it.
so two things. Now, this is a pre-seed or a seeding for exactly what you said, for marketing, etc. When we go to a pre-sale, are you going to give us another opportunity to buy, us whitelisters? Um,
Absolutely, absolutely, of course. Once you're on the whitelist, you're on the whitelist, and so we appreciate our seed round buyers. It's really vital in moving forward with just some simple launching expenses. But all of the participants of the seed sale would also have access to the main whitelist sale as well.
okay. And for the seeding, can you just run over again what we're going to get? Are we going to get tokens? Are we getting Defirm tokens, or what are we going to see in our wallet?
Yep, you're getting Defirm tokens. They're coming in at a 20% discount. So they're at the seed sale. They're listed at $1.20 per Defirm. During the main whitelist sale, is going to be $1.50, and the listing sale is still to be announced. The listing price, sorry, is still to be announced.
And will it be above about $1.50? I mean,
Yeah,
or it'll be a dollar. Okay.
yeah,
And then, oh geez, I just hang on one second.
no worries.
Oh, yes. So the funding, like we said, we've raised about 12% or whatever the number is.
Yep.
Where is a lot of the other money coming from to start this? Is this your personal investment project or you have a backing of a certain number of people?
Yes, so that right now, this is right now it's from personal funding, team funding, as well as what we could have raised from the seed sale. We have enough to proceed with our launch and everything we're trying to do in terms of marketing. We're gonna have our KYC and our audit done. We're gonna have, as I mentioned, our new CMO Ono coming on board. He's very well renowned around the space. He's done work for Sphere. He's done work for 100 Days, Raven Finance, um, Great Finance. He ran basically the pre-sale campaigns for a lot of the most popular DeFi projects that are selling out right now. So we're really excited to work with him and his team,
Yeah.
and so that's really the main focus of where we're going from here with those funds. But yeah, as you mentioned, that's not the only funding we have for the launch. We're also from here on, like, we can also raise again. There's also VCs and different outlets where we can go and raise more as we need it. But we're not as per mentioned, this is not our main pre-sale. This was not never a make or break. This is really just to move forward with development as we can. So
Now, the money that you're talking about that you have already, is that transparent? Is that somewhere locked up in crypto? Is that something locked
that's
up
just my
in?
that's just my personal funds, like the money that I have, that I'm bringing, like, out of pocket for Defirm, as along with what I can raise, right, and what we can raise as a team. um yeah, so that's really it. That's not really transparent, I would say. Like, I don't have my bank account and my wallet live, but as we need to, I'm bringing in funds that I have, of course, to grow the protocol.
Okay, yeah, and that's an important question, as you can see, is that there is money to continue moving forward.
Oh,
Uh,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Okay, and then so we will be getting the DFirm tokens. Like, I'll be purchasing today. I'll be getting the DFirm tokens. I think you said it was $1,000 BUSD, or no, US.
USDC.E.
That's right. It's on
Yep.
Avalanche.
On the AVAX network, correct. And there's a max buy of 1,500 USDC.E and a minimum buy of $50 USDC.E.
And then when you go to your actual pre-sale, what is going to be happening? The same thing, tokens.
Yep, tokens. So
And
the
oh,
NFTs are not going to be pre-sold at all. The NFTs come after properties are purchased.
okay, all right, good enough. Again, we've talked about it the other night. Savage Bro Crypto is
Yeah, that was great.
100% behind you guys, and we love the AMAs. I'm sure you know they're very important. And
100%.
if anybody else from our team has any questions, please ask. Um, and then again, thank you all for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. All right, and if anyone else wanted to take the stage. Oh, it looks like we have Dom Pablo here. All right, I'll invite Dom to the stage here. How you doing today, Dom?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing?
Good, good. I'll just
Perfect.
keep it simple. It's one question.
Yes.
Since, like, obviously it's going to take a while for real estate to turn a profit, and you're going to be relying on buys and sells tax, like the volume, even with Sphere and Titano, has dropped like significantly, like over 90%. Because I know they used to clear a lot of money during the bull run, but I'm just curious, like, where do you expect to get the volatility and trading volume on a DEX on Avalanche during a bear market?
Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that. as per mentioned earlier on as well, we're not rushing out to launch. While these markets, of course, are not looking good at all, we don't want to, just join the mix, on the down only kind of trend we're seeing. So again, we want to make sure we're launching when the market is looking, the market sentiment is better. We're keeping our ear to the ground. We're not rushing things at all. And as per mentioned with volume, that's not something we're worried about. That's something that really over time really has its own way of building itself up. Especially if we're launching during the market turning more and more bullish again, and us being a very novel product, and the marketing that we're going to be doing to not only the DeFi community but also the real estate community, and appealing to people, maybe not in DeFi as much when we start implementing our real estate side of things, and in that aspect, um, we can see we expect the volume to maybe pick up around then. But again, we have multiple revenue structures. Like, that's not the only thing that we're relying on, volume. As per mentioned, we have treasury investments as well that are going to be earning an active yield. We're also going to have quantum liquidity, so that the liquidity pool is earning an active yield. We're going to have NFTs for each property, and so at each NFT sale, there's going to be royalties as they're traded on the open market. So there's multiple revenue structures built into the protocol, and as volume does pick up, as the word spreads about Defirm, there's that revenue structure as well, which, as you mentioned, is basically the primary one for rebasing protocols in our style. So I'm glad you touched on that.
And just one more thing, do you guys have like a general framework, like of how you decide where you want to get things and how much you want to spend on certain things, right? Because you can't just be like, oh, I want to buy a house here, but like kind of, is it more like a
Exactly.
governance decision? Is it you guys make the decision? Is it
Yes.
like what's the framework for this?
Yes, I'm really glad you mentioned that. And that's a big part of the reason I introduced Lori here today. So Lori is actually the head of the real estate board, and she oversees the entire real estate board, and they have a vetting process that they take for each property before anything is really presented to the community. Because of course, the community can have their opinions, but professionals who are actually in the real estate market, it's more likely that they would make a better decision. So the real estate board creates a short list, and it's vetted that way and voted upon. But Lori, if you wanted to speak for the real estate board, you would be able to explain, I'm sure, better than I could.
Yeah, so we like anytime every market will have a different strategy for it. And, we keep that strategy in mind when we put together the short list, because what works in Miami wouldn't work in New York, and what works in, vice versa. So we have that strategy in mind, and that's something that we don't really um that's a strategy that we stick to. We pivot it as we need to, but we don't really put that up for voting. What we do ask the community to help us with, and what we do need the community's participation in, is choosing between specific properties, because we like to, if we know we want a short term rental, we like to see what the community wants as well. And that helps us make our decision between specific ones. But in terms of picking, what we
They'll
spend.
already be vetted and be like properties that DFirm would already invest in. It just makes it a really fun aspect, and just more of a DAO aspect when the community also does have a voice. But all the properties that are presented have been thoroughly vetted by the real estate board, right?
All right, thanks for that.
Appreciate that. And are there any other questions at all? Noni, I'm not sure if you had any more.
Uh, yeah. So, firstly, what will happen to the extra tokens that are unsold during this seed round?
Yes, absolutely. So any unsold tokens from the seed round can still be sold at the main whitelist sale. And so, as per mentioned in the white paper, 5% of the total allocated tokens to the pre-sale get burnt, as well as the unsold supply. So these tokens will be carried over into the main pre-sale, and whatever doesn't get sold there would be burnt. But by then, we definitely plan on having a completely different community sentiment. And as per mentioned, we have our community manager and our CMO coming on board. So it's going to be by then. By then, it's going to be a little bit different.
Okay, I would like to also ask, what is your long-term vision of the project? Like, will you say 5 years later, what would you say the total circulatory supply will be? Like the max is 100 million, but
Yes.
it will obviously not ever reach that point, considering burning will immediately be done even before we reach there. So,
Yes.
what would you say your ideal total supply is and market cap?
Our
Because that's
deal, that's
100 million is not a lot to begin with, per se, in DeFi terms.
oh, of a market cap, you're saying?
No, I mean like the total supply. So, I
Yes.
would like to know what your vision of the market cap to be and how much you are planning to burn overall.
Overall, we want to burn. There's not really, we can't really put a exact number on that. As you mentioned earlier, far before 100 million tokens are emitted into circulation, there would have already been so many burnt. As per mentioned, 5% of buy and sell buy and sell taxes actually just go ahead and get burnt, as well as 5% of our initial supply. So I can't give you an exact number for how many will be burnt by then. It's very speculative. But in terms of market cap, we see ourselves being very early to this version of DeFi and doing things in the way that we're doing things. We believe that it's going to be the norm in the future. And as more regulations set in, allowing things like DeFi and real estate to interact, we believe that there's going to be just many protocols trying to do this mission. So we see ourselves being really at the forefront of it. So the market cap we see for ourselves down the line, I mean, sky's the limit. I want to say, the biggest numbers I can. I can't give you an exact number, but just being early to the real estate DeFi wave, we see ourselves being among the top the real estate DAOs. So I guess if we can go ahead and look at some of the top real estate DAOs now and kind of get a gauge of what their market cap is. We'll have a report for that. We could put it in announcements, but there's just definitely a lot of room to grow as a whole, just as a whole market as for real estate crypto projects. So we plan on being at the forefront of that. I can't give you once again I can't give you a direct number for what it is, but definitely we want to have in the billions market cap by then for sure.
Okay, I appreciate that because I am personally quite a big fan of traditional finance in terms of real estate. So this is what I would consider this an interesting like concept overall. So thanks.
Thank you, appreciate that. And did we have any other questions at all from the community? Savage bro, anything else from you? I will check out general chat. I apologize, I didn't make a dedicated AMA chat under the stage here. But if anyone had questions in general chat, feel free to shoot off some questions. Um, but beyond that, I feel like we've covered everything we wanted to cover for the most part. Oh, Savage Bro, I see that you unmuted there. Savage Bro, you had something to say? All right, I'm not sure if he's having Bluetooth problems again. However, if anyone had any questions here, we're just going to be wrapping it up. One of our mods here is supposed to be recording the AMA, so hopefully they have it recorded there so we can share it for everybody who missed out today. But that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening in. I always appreciate when the community comes together, and yeah, we'll be having more updates for you very soon. Oh, Savage Bro, you're back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on. But anyways, yeah, again, I was just going to say the transparency is key in all these projects. And that's what we do at our community is really get to know like yourself, get to know what's going on, get to understand the protocol rather than just blindly throwing money at something that somebody says is going to work. So, and I'm sure you know that the more information that you give to all of us, the better Defirm is going to be.
Oh, 100%. And so, regularly, weekly AMAs is something that we want to eventually get into, or maybe even more. So it's very important to communicate with the community. As I mentioned before, community is everything when it comes to DeFi, when it comes to crypto, or just any investment. The community coming together and really riding together. That's why we say for the firm. Really, it's about the firm, something bigger than us. Really, a vision bigger than us. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Speaking of transparency, will we get like reports on like the portfolio of houses you guys get and like the income it generates?
Yes, absolutely. That'll all be live on the website and in the Discord for everyone to see. Even before going ahead and purchasing the properties, there's going to be a report on projections, projections for the year, projections, monthly projections, and daily projections from the vacation rentals. So that's all going to be transparent for everyone to see.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Um, again, maybe you can just go over exactly what type of investments you were talking about the other night. You're saying like an actual B&B property that you rent out in Miami?
Yes, absolutely. To start with. So to start with, we want to start in North America and focus on short-term vacation rentals as they turn more of a profit. Lori, I'm not sure if you wanted to chime in as well on that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
so we kind of we kind of want to start with, a simple. We've identified Miami as a great market for short-term vacation rentals, and we picked short-term vacation rentals because they're nice, simple. You start generating a profit right away, and you get, a pretty good foothold in the market, and then as from there it can grow into flips, into, developing properties and, you know, keep growing and growing and growing. But definitely, short term vacation rentals is where we start and where we build our portfolio to start with before moving on to the bigger projects.
absolutely. So we want to scale up, and in the future, as per mentioned, we want to move into things like hotels, motels, and even commercial real estate as well as we grow and expand our portfolio.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And I will quickly check. Did you have any other questions, Savage? Sorry.
No, we're good.
All good there. Perfect. I'll quickly check general chat. I don't see any other questions, and I think that concludes our AMA for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And any last words from you, Lori?
Um, for the firm,
For the firm. Absolutely. Everybody have a great day, and I'm looking forward to the next AMA. Cheers.
bye guys.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks.